Yes. Hello to everyone. Welcome to Uzak Rota online meeting. Before I start our panel, I would like to give some information about Uzak Rota, our summit. Uzak Rota Travel Summit is Turkey's largest tourism event and one of the top 10 tourism events in the world. This summit is connecting the biggest companies with the brightest minds and professionals of travel industry around the world in different countries like Istanbul, Belgrade, London, and finally, who have been planned in Izmir, but as you know, unfortunately, we postponed it. Since 2018, Izmir Skull Club being sponsored on behalf of Skull Turkey to this event. Welcome again. Now, first of all, I would like to present you to our exceptional and I think very fantastic guests today that we will spend all of today. We can spend all of today to discuss our subject. Now I present you Mr. Salep Rifai. Salep Rifai, hello, welcome. The former Secretary General of the United Nations World Tourism Organization and also patron of African Tourism Board. Isvan Ujali, hello, welcome Isvan. Vice-président de la Comité de transport et de tourisme européen qui est basé, bien entendu, à l'Organisation mondiale des Nations Unies. Donc, je vais commencer en français en disant que la langue officielle. Hello, again. Mr. Andrew Agius Muscat, hello, welcome. The Secretary General of Mediterranean Tourism Foundation, CEO, of Malta Hotels, and also restaurant associations. That you have two titles, and Foundation, Mediterranean Travel Foundation, and other sites. You are also CEO in Malta Hotels and Restaurant Association. That I will ask the questions in two ways. And Mr. Barbaros Kon, that we know very well, Mr. Kon, is because the board of governor of Mediterranean Tourism Foundation in Turkey, especially he is specialist in hotel management trainer and consultants. And I thank you especially, Mr. Kon, because we meet today owing to Mr. Kon. Thank you very much again for all of their connections. That we will start again.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I will start my questions to Mr. Rifai again. Mr. Rifai, past period, you were the Secretary General of UNWTO around 8 years. That means you were on duty to organize the future of world tourism, and actually, you still continue your mission as the boss of African Tourism Board, founder of rebuildingtravel.com, and you are also on duty at different professional and civil associations, as we know. Can you tell us about the future of the travel industry, exactly, I think, where we are going now? Because in my articles, every time I hesitate to use the word crisis. Every time I prefer to use metamorphose. And when I check your creative projects, I think you are on the way to create something who can be constructive, like rebuilding travel for all of the travel and industry. Can you tell me about your project about that? Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Of course, the question is $1 million question. Nobody knows what's going to happen. This is not the right time to start speculating, but our path is very clear. Now, I'll say 4 things that have changed around us. Number 1, we're uncertain that there is so much fear and discomfort in the minds and the hearts of many people around the world. They're not very comfortable with what's happening. Therefore, even if governments decide to lift the ban on travel, that alone is not going to be enough for people to travel. People are afraid, people are scared. Because government took things into their own hands quickly. They went in aggressively. They went in each government on its own. They did not work together. International organizations today, I can claim that are irrelevant. United Nations, we don't hear anything from them. EU is not existing. Arab League is not existing. African Union is not working well. So there's not an age for each organization to say what it wants to do. Each country is on its own now. That's why the world is confused now, and the world is scared. That travel and tourism is badly hurt by this virus, not as any time before at all. This is a very unique thing because the world after Corona is going to be different from the world before Corona. What do we do in this regard? I've suggested 4 main items. 1 is we need to immediately concentrate on domestic and regional tourism. We have to do that. Although I'm not giving up on international tourism, I think tourism will rebound like every other time before. But it will take time to do that. And it will take some alleviating the fear of the people. So number 1 is we must concentrate now on domestic tourism and regional tourism. In other words, Turkey must become Turkey, travel by itself inside Turkey. And maybe people coming by car from Syria, from Armenia, from Georgia, from Bulgaria, from other places. You could do that. Now, this is not just a crisis, it's an opportunity also, because domestic tourism is very important anyhow. You know, a country that's not visited by its own people, enjoyed by its own people, cannot be enjoyed by anybody else. This is not right. 70% of the tourism in the United States and Europe is domestic tourism, it's not international tourism. We in the developing world are betting so much on international tourism. We treat a tourist as if he's coming from Mars, as if he's God. We shouldn't do that anymore. We should first enjoy our own country, understand it, we take pride in it, and then we could go and start welcoming other people. So it's an opportunity for us, but we must do that. I know that domestic tourism does not substitute international tourism because it does not bring in hard currency, it does not help in the balance of trade, but it does keep facilities open, does keep hotels open, does keep jobs there. So we must concentrate now on domestic tourism. This needs a completely change in mindset, in strategy, in marketing, in packaging, in everything. The second thing is the role of technology. Technology has been now dominating us. You see, we are all here together. We're meeting nowhere and everywhere. Virtual meetings are not going to be only virtual meetings. I saw last week, for example, the concert from the Domus in Italy, in Napoli. It was amazing. I mean, everybody now is going towards virtual meetings. My daughter is going to got engaged. She was going to get married. We could not get to Dubai. She's living in Dubai. She cannot come to Jordan now. So we married her virtual. The priest was sitting on the other room. She was sitting in one room and we were sitting in Amman, Jordan. She got married there. Katb Kitab, you know what that is in Islamic religion. So we have to be prepared now for new way of thinking when it comes to technology. Imaginative, out of the box. It's not going to substitute real travel, but it has to be taken into consideration. Third part is safety and security, because without safety and security, people are going to continue to be anxious. They have to keep being assured that they are going to be safe when they go somewhere. Nobody can guarantee 100% safety, but at least you should try your best. This can only be done through protocols. We need to design protocols and apply them to hotels, to restaurants, to airports, to aircrafts, everything to be protocolized. Now these protocols will have to also be certified. Designing a protocol is one thing and certifying it is another thing. Certifying it means that there is a body that people trust that says, yes, you are doing the right thing. It's not important just to do the right thing. You also have to say you're doing it and make people feel that you're doing it. The fourth point is training and rehabilitation, because all three before, whether it's domestic tourism or technology or safety and security, we all need to retrain our staff. Our staff is not going to be doing the same job anymore. People that are working at hotels, for example, have to be retrained how to sanitize rooms. How do people at the reception have to now behave in a different way? How do taxi drivers have to act in a different way? Everybody, so there must be a budget for retraining. Training is absolutely crucial and important now, because without that, we cannot go anywhere. These are the four elements that I believe now we can embark on immediately. Now, international tourism will come, but it can come slowly. We created something called the Corona Resilient Zone, CRZ. Corona Resilient Zone is a zone, not necessarily entire country. For example, you could say Bodrum, the beaches there. It's a sector by itself. You have to control entry and exit to that zone. You make sure that that zone is corona-free, more or less, statistically. And then you apply a certain protocol there. You make an agreement, for example, with Bulgaria. Or you make an agreement with Serbia or with Hungary. And there you can make direct flights between these two places so that you could guarantee and articulate every movement that you make from the minute you leave your home until the minute you come back to your home. If people are not reassured like this, there will not be any tourism. This is the only way to start international tourism. But that's step two. Step one is to concentrate now on domestic tourism. This is my belief. Thank you so much.
I think Mr. Rifai told us a little bit also about the new opportunities on the thematic tourism channels. For example, agrotourism, ecotourism, camping, trekking, because the people will be more sensible, their care, their health after this period. But I make a paragraph. Some psychologues are against the idea everything will be different after this corona. They are against, because they defend their hypothesis like the humanity, the human psychology can be changed in 1 century or 2 centuries. After this kind of catastrophe, they don't start attending very big changements about the decision and about also the style life or style of vacation, you know. We will discuss that. Mr. İsvan Üceyli, hello again. Hello again. I would like to ask a question about the European Parliament. What are you think? What is the attitude of European Parliament about the future of tourism in the European countries? Because your job, your responsibility are huge. Because you are responsible from continent. The tourism and this industry is represent 50% of the revenue of global, you know. Because of the attitude about European Union. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I hope you can hear me. Is it okay?
Yes.
The line is okay.
Perfect.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and good afternoon, my dear friends, because Taleb Rifai, Andrew and the others are very, very good friends of mine. We are working together to push the tourism in the European Union or on a global level. And all of us, together with Mr. Barbaros, for example, we are working together in the Mediterranean Tourist Foundation too, based in Malta. So that's why I'm here now to be your partner. As you mentioned, I'm a member of the European Parliament. I'm vice chair and responsible for tourism. I'm vice chair of the Transportation and Tourism Committee in the European Parliament. But you have to know that I was president of the Hungarian National Tourism Board, and I was vice minister in the Hungarian government responsible for the tourism. So I know how does it work in the European Union, because it's very difficult. Maybe you and those who are not familiar with the European Union structures, you can't believe how difficult to do anything in the European tourism on the European level, because the tourism is a competence of the member states. It means always when we would like to coordinate, we would like to do something on European level, then the member states, the governments always try to push to stop us, because the last 20, 30 years, they had a feeling about that the European institutions don't have to do anything with the tourism. But as Mr. Taleb, if I can tell you several stories about that. Some years ago, together with the UNWTO and other stakeholders and associations, we created a big lobby in Brussels to strengthening the lobby and the structures and of course the supports of the tourism on the European level. And now finally we arrived to the crisis that we live today together. And now most of the decision makers realized that we need better and stronger European coordination on the tourism and travel industry. Look around what's happening now in the European Union. Closed borders, empty airports, empty beaches and empty conference centers. And you have to know that we have only in the European Union we have 27 million jobs, 27 million jobs, workers who are working in the tourism sector, who are living from the tourism sector. And now there are more than 6 or 7 million people, workers, jobs, who are in danger these weeks, these months. So we have to do something, and the tourism is a globalized sector. So the member states can't do it alone. Now we realized it, and I can tell you we have more and more very, very good partners in the European Parliament. For example, Elena Contura, who is a former Minister of Tourism from Greece. Maybe you know her. She is very, very strong partner of me in the European Parliament to push the tourism, but also other MEPs. So we have more and more colleagues. I'm not alone now. And only 3 steps, but I would like to tell you. First, now immediately we have to put to ventilation the tourist sector. It means we need immediately quick money support to the companies who are working in the European tourism because they have to survive. And after that, the second step is we will have a recovery period with a crisis management mechanism. It means we have to manage this summer and we have to manage the next 1 year, because I'm sure, and I'm sad about it, but I'm sure we will not have perfect vacation time. It means the tourism can't go back to the track immediately. And the third step is we need a long-term, new, smart, and sustainable tourism plan in the European Union. Now we are working on it, and later I can tell you some new information about the new plans, what the European Commission announced yesterday.
Very good. Very good.
Thank you very much for your description. Very details, with details about European attitude and tourism. Now I will pass my question to Mr. Muscat. Andrew.
Hi, Emre.
Hi again. First, can you tell us about famous, especially I use this word, Mediterranean Tourism Foundation and Mediterranean Tourism Foundation Forum, which you organized last year, if I remember. And finally, the first music festival in Malta that Aturjet, Fijet members will be there, I remember. Music festival 20 years ago. I remember from Paris. This is a new age to organize music festivals in the cities for 3 or 4 days. The cities become an international area with their self-ambition. What are you thinking about this chain of events on the Mediterranean Tourism Foundation? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Emre. First of all, what is the Mediterranean Tourism Foundation? The Mediterranean Tourism Foundation basically was established as part of the inspiration of the gentleman here. In particular, Dr. Taleb Rifai. 8 years ago, I had the opportunity to attend a conference of the United Nations World Tourism Organization. And I still remember he was talking about peace, tourism as a vehicle for peace and stability in the world. I kept on thinking about this, and I thought that we had to get together the stakeholders across the Mediterranean to work on this principle and realize it through concrete projects so that people can really feel out there the relevance of tourism in their lives. Towards this end, I approached people like Istvan, who kindly supported us from day one, of course, our bridge and pillar in the European Union, and Barbaros from Turkey, who worked hard, relentlessly to make sure that the foundation will become a successful project. As you rightly mentioned, today we organize on an annual basis a forum, which is the most important tourism forum in the Mediterranean, which brings together people from all over the world with an interest in Mediterranean tourism, with one aim, that to collaborate together, that to create synergies. And that is what we are proud of. We act as a catalyst to create synergies by bringing people together from different fields with one goal. As you rightly mentioned, we have different projects. We drive different projects. One of them is the music project. Music is a very important element in the tourism formula because music creates events. And as you well know, events are very important in enhancing the experience of the tourism product. More than that, music also is a way of enhancing the identity of a destination. So when we were thinking about this project, we thought that it was necessary to rekindle, to give back life to the identity of the Mediterranean and the world. And the best way to do that was through music. So 3 years ago, we started working on a project to organize the first Mediterranean Stars Festival. The ambition was to bring on one stage different pop stars from across the Mediterranean. This happened last October. Over 45,000 people attended to the concert, with 8,000 people flying in on purpose for this concert. We had singers from across the Mediterranean. Unfortunately, in the first edition, we didn't have somebody from Turkey, but definitely we will work harder to get somebody from Turkey in the next edition. Hopefully, even this year, because the aim is that despite the challenges that COVID-19 is posing to us all, we are still positive. We are still optimistic that we can come up with different formats in a way, as Dr. Rifai and my friend Istvan were saying, to adapt to the new challenges, to the new realities, by setting an example to the rest.
Thank you very much for this charm trip in the Mediterranean, especially to Malta. Thank you very much. You bring us to wonderful Malta. And I will come back again for other kind of questions in this subject.
Yes.
Thank you very much for your explication.
Thank you.
Now, Mr. Dr. Barbaros Kohn, I want to ask two questions about hygiene, social distance, and security rules of hotels. First, why? Because we know very closely that Mr. Kohn, in the beginning of this difficult period, in some journal and also magazines, they give us many details with their reports. Very vast research that you realized in this period, because you always make us to focus on post-COVID period. You provide consultancy services for several hotel chains, and they train their managers also. And you also state that as an organization, hotels needs to be agile. Here is my question, Mr. Kohn. What is the definition of agile hotel? Could you tell us more? I switch off my camera if I propose to you, and I invite to come back with us. It's better.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, dear Emre. First of all, I'm very happy to be together with Dr. Taleb, Mr. Andrew, and Mr. Istvan here, and to be at the same board in Mediterranean Tourism Foundation. Big honor for me. Emre, while the fear and worry spread all around the world, disaster's social economic impact coming closer to us, which we can't get rid of it by washing our hands. This matter has to be evaluated as much as the virus and its effects. Perhaps the possible disasters, social economic incidents should be taken seriously and created solutions. Otherwise, we may long and wish for virus in the upcoming days. I believe that clearly in the new world order, agile companies, which is managed by their agile leaders, will win the race. Coronavirus was one of the 10 disasters which could happen in our companies. Well, have we already determined the rest of disasters? Moreover, have we prepared our crisis scenarios to overcome these disasters? Well, of course, no. That's the exact reason why we have encountered this disaster without any preparation as leader and companies. We should look for the answers to these three questions now. First of all, we must evaluate the current situation. What happened? Second one, what did we learn from the situation? What will we do next? Obviously, I am interested in the third question. I would like to ask you more questions about your future plans. Please think the answers of these questions while I'm asking. My first question is, how will we work ecologically? How will we use big data in our business? Unfortunately, we don't use 80% of data in our companies, in our hotels. How would market look like after July in Turkey and all over the world? How new model would be appear in sector in the terms of marketing and sales? How will we use artificial intelligence in our business model? How will we establish and use concept design center in the hotel? And how will we make use of this to make difference in market, kitchen, F&B, housekeeping in our concepts? What are the things that we will make in a different way to provide fast, flexible, but hygienic service at the same time? How will we reduce costs and make improvements on our productivity and quality? How will we reduce our final and buffer stocks? How will we reduce our waste amounts? What are the things that will be our priority to manage our financial expenses? I think you have to turn off your microphones because there is echo. Thank you. How will we attract and keep qualified and talented people on our company? How our human resource policy alternatives will be in the next 6 months? Please focus on answers of these questions for your companies and for your hotels in advance. I know a lot of hotel managers are listening to us now. What we will do from now on? After this crisis, we need to act fast, simple, and agile. Make decisions promptly, focus on real needs of customers and guests, develop digital products and services which would create a value added. We can achieve these on one condition, which is becoming an agile company or agile hotel. Well, how we will be an agile company or a hotel? Being an agile company is about knowing how to adapt to your market, to customers' needs, to increasing the rapid change, and to the emergence of new needs or new competitors above all. These companies need to be run together at the same targets as part of the same team, with minimization of hierarchy and bureaucracy. Contrary to inactive companies, agile companies know how to tolerate the mistakes and error. They believe learning based on experiments. Becoming an agile hotel, deciding promptly by dynamic employees, passionate managers and bosses, flexible forms, acting fastly by doing right things, having ability of observing the change on market and giving responses to them, correcting the wrongs as soon as possible. Fluid form organization, guest-focused organization are some of the core features of agile hotels. Agile hotels live fast with full excitement and be ready for everything. On the other hand, how do you call it? I don't know, inactive or inertial hotels or non-agile hotels. How are they? Do you know? Works slowly, can't follow the change and trends on market, passionless, hopeless, miserable, focus on past, gossiper, focus on internal games and procedures, talking about problems and complaint, providing excuses to guests and customers, inert and unmotivated. Don't forget, Emre, the end of organization is near. If the organization's change speed is lower than outside world speed. From now on, instead of the big fish eating small fish, agile fish hunts the inactive, inertial, bulky fish. In today's world, hotels win if they are agile like Puma, flexible and act fastly. Inactive, bulky elephant hotels are losing the game. From now on, you become the one whether who rises clouds of dust or breathes someone else's dust. Which one do you choose? Of course, you want to become the one whether who rises clouds of dust. So you have to be agile. Now, I will end with a formula. We should compound the best features of different nations. For example, Americans are good at thinking and processing. Japanese are patient and niggling. Turks are very fast at the beginning of something. Germans are disciplined people. British are focused on result of process. Formula is very simple. Think like an American, plan like a Japanese, start like a Turkish, continue like a German, finish like a British. This formula explains Agile company, Emre. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Very, very nice.
Thank you. Now you turn, Emre.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I think after this forum, we will talk about your example about the fish. It was very eccentric and very interesting. I found some philosophy around of this example. Very nice, very amazing. Mr. Rifai, Taleb Rifai, I know that you know very well Turkey. For different occasion, you visited before Turkey for culture occasion or for business reason. You know very close Turkey. Turkey is a mass tourism country, and this is a major country about mass tourism also. But in the subject of thematic tourism channel, Turkey is an emergent country. Every year, with the support of Minister of Tourism, Culture, Economy of Turkey, we discover new kind of channel about thematic tourism in Turkey. What are you thinking about in this subject? Potential opportunities for Turkish tourism professionals. Turkey has a chance and has a capacity to enrich different theme of tourism, or we will continue to mass tourism as usual, but in different dimension. What are you thinking about, Mr. Rifai? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ermin. First of all, I'm not just a friend of Turkey, I'm half Turkish. My mother is Turkish, so I'm 70% Turkish. I love Turkey. Turkey is a wonderful country, really. It's not just going to visit it to feel good about it. I respect the people, I respect the history, I respect everything about Turkey. I wish it all the best. I'm sure Turkey will become a leader in the tomorrow's world, because what we just heard said now, it's important that we understand the agility of any industry. Turks are very, very agile. They're very impatient. So they can move quickly. They can change quickly. That's what's needed now. So I'm quite confident about the future of Turkey. Now, I want to start to address the first question that was asked. What happened? What really happened was a surprise to all of us, because it came as a sudden surprise. 3 months ago, nobody would have imagined that we'll be sitting here talking to each other virtually, or that we'll be sitting at home for the last 2 months. This was a complete surprise. But this surprise was addressed by governments very immediately and promptly. Every government dealt with it in a different way. Governments took their responsibilities very seriously, but they did it alone. They did not work with each other, unfortunately. So what we're in now is a situation that we have contained this virus, this issue, in many countries, like Turkey, like Jordan, like many other countries, especially smaller countries and developing countries, surprisingly, because governments are stronger in developing countries than they are in developed countries, unfortunately. And when that happened, now they have succeeded in phase 1, which is containment. But now they're realizing that this is not enough. People are getting restless. People want to live. People want to move on. They will be faced with riots. They will be faced with a lot of resentment because people are hungry now. People lost their jobs. So now we need to move into the second phase. We should have planned for that before. This is what happened. Unfortunately, many governments are working still alone. You look at the European country, I'm sorry, Stefan, to say this. In Europe, I don't think any country is coordinating with the other country yet. Each country is closing its borders on its own now. The UK now, if you go to the UK, you have to go with 2 weeks quarantine. How can you go into anywhere you know you're going to spend 2 weeks? That's not logical. But the governments are insisting now to take their role because governments are still playing the game as it was before, unfortunately. Now the private sector will have to come in, step in and make a complete alliance with the governments now. Because without that, it will never work. And governments will have to work with each other. I think the best way for Turkey to go now, Turkey is a good country because it had addressed the crisis in a very intelligent way. You contained it. You can create some zones within Turkey now that are free zones. And Turkey must start building alliances with other destinations around you, by aeroplanes, by ships, or by cars. But this must be contained and controlled from point 1 to point B, from point B to point C, back to point A again. That's the only way to do it. So otherwise, it will not work. Now, Turkey in particular has a very big role to play because I know it will come back. Tourism has always come back. But coming back doesn't mean coming back as it is. It means coming back in a different way. I still remember the days where, before September 11, remember we used to take off from our cars, go walk into the aeroplanes, just like that. No metal bars, no taking off your shoes, no taking off your belts, no taking off your liquids or anything. Now it has become a way of life. Taking off your shoes and taking off your belt is like any other thing we do when you travel. When you pack, you know what to pack. Now with Corona, we're going to have to live with a new regime. Now, Turkey has to understand this. It can be ahead of everybody else because nobody's really thinking ahead. I will be very eager to work with Turkey on this thing because I think Turkey needs to move forward intelligently. As Mr. Barbaros said, it's important that Turkey realizes that more intelligent, the more agile, and the more imaginative people are the ones that can win this game. And I have every confidence that Turkey would. I'm ready to answer any other questions if they are there. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rifai, for your impressions about our country, Turkey. It is, I think, very strong observations about our future. Now, Mr. Isfan, if you are here. Mr. Isfan, I would like to ask a question, not very classically. It will be a little bit original. If you will be now the president of European Parliament, how would you act differently? I can tell you that Mr. David Sassoli is in another meeting. You can answer as you wish. I'm very curious about this, your position, your creativity, and also your proposition. I'm sure that sometimes you think about that. What can tell you us about this situation? Thank you very much.
Oh, my dear Emre, it's a good question, but not so friendly. Sassoli is a good friend of mine, so anything what I will answer maybe will have some kind of rumor after that, so it's very dangerous. Sassoli and me, we are also working in the SND group in the European Parliament. So I know very well that the Italian politicians, as Sassoli also Italian, realize that what the tourism means, the tourist sector and the industry for our nations. In Italy, also in Spain, in Hungary, but also in the other countries like in Malta, more than 10% of the European GDP coming from the European tourism sector. And we have some countries where it is more than 20-25% from the GDP. So this time we have to fight together, as Mr. Taleb Rifai told it several times the last years. That's why I invited Mr. Talev, as Secretary General of the UNWTO, to the European Parliament to meet with the President, also meet with the colleagues. And Zura Poloikashvili, the new Secretary General of the UNWTO, also visited several times and signed agreement with the European Parliament. But to answer your question, when I will be the President of the European Parliament, then I will invite you, all of you, to be there to push the decision makers to support the European tourism. But some other things, what you have to know. It's a very difficult time now because the European Commission yesterday announced one new package. Maybe you heard about that.
Yes.
And it's very important step because the European Commission announced the financial package for the recovery period, and they mentioned the tourism as the sector which needed 1.62 billion euro investment. And it's a historical time because we have never had our own budget in the European budget. So now I would like to ask all those colleagues, stakeholders, companies who are listening us now to push the decision makers, on the national level, and also if you know some MEPs, to push them to support the budget line in the European tourism to support the next 7 years the tourism. And one more thing which is important, now the European Commission and also the Parliament, we are fighting for some decisions how to open the borders all over Europe in a coordinated manner, step by step. But the problem is here because the EU member states handle this through bilateral and multilateral agreements and not on a community level. And also the question is how can we set up a health protocol which is the same everywhere in the European Union and the same all over in Europe, not only in the Union, because I would like to travel and visit you, dear Emre, in Turkey, but it would be very useful to have the same health protocol everywhere, in Hungary, Malta, and in Turkey too. So that's why the next months will be very, very busy for all of us. And I hope that next time when we will meet, it will be personally meeting. We will be in the same room in the same time in Izmir or somewhere else. And then open the border and the new protocols. We will have a stable mechanism in the European Union and all over in Europe. So my answer is yes. I'm working with the President of the Parliament, and when I will be there, then I will support the tourism too.
Isvan, thank you very much for your smart answer and also constructive and reactive answer. Thank you very much. It makes me imagine a little bit to future, perhaps to make organizations in the collaboration, two countries, Greece and Turkey, again together, the tour operators can perhaps make the common programs. You know, this is the solidarity time because every single country can't find an issue, find a solution with their own force. Thank you very much for your propositions, especially to solidarity, professional solidarity in the tourism that you show us now with your answer. Thank you very much. Yes, Mr. Muscat, Andrew. You have a big, we know you have a big, very huge, very enormous worldwide network in travel industry. According to you, what will be be new trends in tourism. Because in the beginning of our forum, I tried to identify this case using metamorphosis, not Christ, because Christ starting point, you know, and the evaluation, you are in the game, and the final point, you try to estimate, all right? But this is a very big changement who will touch everyone in every sector. Because of this, it's like a reformation of the world, spatially, and the tourism industry. When I told you new trends, I give an example. Hologram technology, for example, it costs from 1960s to 2020. I don't see any changement about the cost of hologram. In Turkey, I know some ancient Greek sites like Ephesus, Sagalassos. Minister of Tourism demand to private sector to use hologram and the Greek site, archaeological site, to show the people according to original, but expensive. 3D tech. I remember in 2010 I participated the first 3D virtual tourism fair, event fair, Satae. It was amazing, 24 hours. I'm single participant for Turkey as travel agency. We contact 24 hours. It's like a office open 24 hours, 3D virtual fairs. And the duration of the fair was 12 days, and finally I saw the reports. I see 37,000 visitors and the virtual fair. I given two examples about hologram technology and virtual fair. This kind of technology can be less expensive, more cheaper because of our situation, or you don't believe that anything, you don't see any changement. What are you thinking about this innovative approach of technology on tourism? Thank you.
You're right. I'll take your question into two parts. The first part is about addressing your question about the tourism trends. Really and truly, we cannot talk about trends because this is something which we haven't yet started. It's a new experience for all of us. So we still need to give time to see how tourism will evolve, how tourism will react to these new realities. What is important, however, this brings me to the point which Dr. Rifai highlighted in his introduction to this webinar, the importance of training. So, given that we cannot really foretell how the tourism sector will evolve, we definitely need to invest more in our people, invest more in their skilling, in their upskilling, but also possibly in reskilling their abilities, because definitely we are going to face new realities. The details we still do not know, but definitely we need to look at the future with a pair of new eyes. Towards that end, we as Mediterranean Tourism Foundation are working in collaboration with different learning partners, including Forbes Travel Guide and University of London, University of Derby, and a number of other important learning partners. And we have developed a training program to help the tourism sector across the Mediterranean countries and cities to be prepared for the unknown. As regards to the second part of your question in particular focusing on technology. definitely, if COVID-19 has brought something, has pushed something ahead, has been technology. Technology has become the winner of this tragedy. So definitely, as you were mentioning, we will see that technology will become more important in our lives, more important in our experience. Definitely, however, technology will never beat the experience which tourism gives. Technology will enhance the experience. Technology will support the experience which tourism offers, but it will never take the place of the experience of people traveling to a destination and mixing with the people, enjoying the particular product of which the destination offers.
That's right.
Thank you very much for your perspective that you share us about importance and importance of technology and style of using this technology on the tourism industry. It was very big, I think, important points, important questions, and we will continue to discuss, I think, during this period, the new place of technology in tourism industry, I think, I suppose to. Okay, thank you very much again, Andrew. Dr. Barbaros Kohn, I will switch off my camera and I invite you to come back to us, please. Before first I ask the question, my question, there are several hotel managers listening to us right now that you see. And Skal International, the majority of 14,000 members of Skal International members, just a little majority composed from hotel managers, hotel sales, general managers. In Turkey, it's same. Turkey Skal Club, Turkey Skal area. And now I know very well that there are many hotel managers, hotel directors, sales who listen us now during this panel. And my question is that how leaders of managers, these agile hotels become agile leaders? How you can explain us this coordination, and which qualifications and competences does these managers should have in this period and the future? This is a question to show the future of this sector as a management direction. Thank you very much.
Okay. Hello again.
Hello, Barbaros.
What kind of leadership we will be facing? Dear participants, in 2 times, great leaders have people to manage their fears and show them a road which will arrive to their goals. Though, like Kaplan Cyrus said before, anyone can hold to hand when the sea is calm. Right? Nowadays, organizations run business in an environment which is quite uncertain and unsteady. These organizations need leaders who approach to this change as an opportunity for innovation and growth. In other words, organizations seek leaders who can predict future and make change happen in proactive approach. Proactive approach is very important. Personal agility refers to adopting flexible mindset and generating unique and beneficial ideas. The ones who have agile mindset show performance on higher level, contribute to profit and success of their companies. Agile leaders create agile companies, agile hotels. Agile hotels, agile companies have capacity to identify the opportunities by taking prompt actions in the environment that change constantly. On one survey shows that agile organizations increase their incomes by 37% more quickly and be more profitable by 30% than non-agile companies. An agile leader always have to focus on the big picture. While doing this, leaders shouldn't focus only on the details, but they can't also miss out these details. Leader has to follow worldwide trends, not only in the company, but also outside of the company. An agile leader has to evaluate the situations through different and several perspectives. Also should embrace to various visions and opinions of others. An agile leader determines priorities of the company. An agile leader and also these leaders should set a clear vision that their team can embrace and own. Also support their employees to make them more independent, expand their visions, share their ideas with others. Every color of ideas must be valued for these leaders. I would like to say something about the features, about characteristics that agile leaders who would manage the future must have in the crisis periods or after the crisis. First of all, agile leader has to stay calm by controlling emotions. Yes, staying calm by controlling emotions, important. Please don't forget that emotions affect behavior, which affects results. So you have to stay calm by controlling emotions. Be sure of having positive mental state. So think positive. Be courage, desire, and inspiration for others despite of the feeling of fear. Be empathic leader, not sympathetic. Empathic leader. Having creative flexibility. Creative is very important during this period. Having a leading vision that care about values. Listening others by your heart, eyes, and ears in empathic attitude. Having a high intuition, take action with contrary strategies. Contrary strategies. You have to think different. You have to think opposite. If someone says to me, it is impossible, I see an opportunity there. Creating an environment that is clear, transparent for employees. Another subject, explaining things that have matters for people in a simple way. Simple way. Improving talents and creating environments for people to use their talents. Thinking versatile and strategic. Unfortunately, most of hotel managers don't think strategy. They are thinking just operation. Just operation. I'm getting angry very much. To be able to succeed in today's hospitality business world, agile approach is the key solution for the companies. The agile approach means that the company has multidisciplinary teams and the projects are divided into iterative and fast sprints. And also companies should absorb the agile method and make it part of their company culture. Agile companies place more value on adapting to change than on sticking to a plan. They always believe that change is inevitable. Like Leon Mackensen said before, somebody are saying that Charles Darwin said, but I searched, Lon Mackinson said this sentence. He says that it is not the strongest of the species that survives, nor the most intelligent, but the one most adaptable and responsive to change.
That's right.
Dear Emre, as a result, as agile leaders who have these features or characteristics, if we don't take an action for the future on today, future will have gone and passed. Thank you, dear Emre.
Thank you, Barbaros. Excellent.
Thank you, Mr. Fay.
Yes. Thank you very much, Barbaros. You can Barbaros, for your especially point that strategy is more than important from operation. It's I think one of the biggest problem in Turkey, and we will discuss this subject. I think very long time. Surely in this period, we need to discuss to spend the time to discuss certain some points that we don't need time under normal conditions. Because of this, is very important that you told us. Dear friends, I received some questions. For example, Gökhan Erdoğan, the CEO of Uzak Rota, our friend Gökhan, asked me a question. Mr. Dr. Rifai, what are you think? What factors do you think affects more to the consumers' buying behavior when it comes to traveling around the world? Mr. Dr. Rifai, before I forget, I was in call with Mr. Salih Çene, 2011 old former world president of Skal International.
Yes.
And he passed me his salutation.
Thank you so
best
much.
Wishes to you.
Wish you the best.
Thank you very much. What are you thinking about these questions about the consumers, the processes of buying, the behavior of buying? We will change or not? Because
Yes.
some it's not easy that the behavior of the human behavior that we used to know. It's very difficult, I think, to change after the crisis. The generation and generation we need to see the changements very profound. What are you thinking about?
There is already a big change now happening. Customers are going to be now needing to be more calm, more confident, and not fear travel. They have to feel that they can trust the customer. The customer must trust the operator also. This is not easy to do. It's not enough to make a protocol and design it. If you don't implement it correctly, you also have to communicate that you're implementing it. That's why I'm calling not just for the design of protocols, but to certification of protocols. Certification means that you could show a piece of paper that I'm doing my best to be Corona resilient zone or Corona parent zone. People are afraid now. That's the most important thing. We should take fear out of the people's hearts. Now, having said this, I want to just go on to what Mr. Barbaros just said about our ability to change, because we have to change. We have to change very quickly. But unfortunately, our industry is not known to be the best to change in history. You know, just think about it. We were able to put a man on the moon before we were able to put two wheels on a suitcase. So our changes are very slow. Hotels are being run the same way they ran 500-600 years ago. We need now, when you enter a hotel, from the minute the car stops in front of the hotel, the porter that's there has to carry the bags in a different way, has to come and not come close to you. He has to be very careful. When you come to a reception desk, there is the two receptionists behind that desk will have to be conveying confidence. When they take money from you, when they take the card from you, when they speak to you, they have to speak to you in a very, very professional way, because life is going to be changing whether we like it or not. I just told you about the September 11th thing. And now I'm sure that wearing masks and wearing gloves is going to be something that we are going to become a habit in our lives. Being a bit distant from people in public, it's going to be taking a long time before you hug your girlfriend in public, or before you you work with somebody with hands in hands. It's going to take a long time. That's a major challenge. Convey trust and confidence, I think.
Thank you very much, Dr. Rifai, for your answer. Another question I saw there from Mr. Gökhan Erdoğan. He asked us, how does the development of technology and business models affect how travel brands price and sell their travel services? How does the development of technology of business models affect how travel brands price? What are you thinking about? Can you tell us something to Mr. Isfan? Isfan is not there, perhaps. Andrew?
Andrew, we can't
You're
hear
right.
you.
You're right. Okay. Apologies for that. So as I was mentioning, technology will keep increasing in its importance of the way we do business and the way we live. So definitely we need to start thinking in re-engineering our operations, even from a perspective of a hotel, even from the perspective of a restaurant or any other operator in the tourism sector. We need to think different. We need to reinvent, as you rightly mentioned in the beginning. You were talking about a metamorphosis, a change, a total. We need to look, we need to think different. So technology always helps to make that leap, always helps in helping us in changing the way we look at things and the way we do things. This will affect even the business model of how we do things. So it will affect our cost model, our income, the way we generate income, and the way we do things. So I have to say that the change which COVID-19 is bringing has brought a lot of negativity in it, because of course it took us all by surprise, and it has affected us really badly. But at the same time, it's creating new opportunities. I've been always taught by my masters, by my mentors, that in every problem, you need to try to find the opportunity. And COVID-19 can offer us new opportunities by thinking different, by bringing together technology in the way we're doing things in order to create new opportunities.
Thank you. Another question I think I took now is Mr. Isfan Ujeli. Perhaps I will ask to him if he is there, or sometimes he comes and he come back. I would like to ask the question to Isfan about the new probably using form of technology on the transportation sector. For example, in check-in, check-out, on the airports. Is European Parliament has some idea, some projects for the future in this subject? I will ask this question before when he come back to us.
Can I say something, please?
Yes, please.
I need to leave in 5 minutes because I have another meeting. Is that okay?
Okay. Can you tell us, Mr. Dr. Rifai, your last words for everything? Thank you.
Thank you. First of all, I wish Turkey all the best. I'm sure Turkey will do just fine. With people like Barbaros Khan and his wise advice, I'm sure we'll get to right places. Now, what we need to have is trust and confidence. You need to move ahead. You need to cooperate with others. Don't let things fall apart like they are doing now. Each government is working on now. It's still in the hands of governments, but you can impact governments now. You have to speak to governments and tell them it's time to open up. Because I think that government have been misled a little bit by the approach of this virus. They closed so quickly and they caused more harm than they did. We had to. But it's understandable because people care about their lives and their health more than anything else. It's time now to move from that stage to another stage of actively recognizing that there is more important things than life. Life and dignity is more important. Life and prosperity is more important. Life and happiness is more important than life itself. So we need to move from that point to this point. We have to take some risks, but these risks have to be calculated. We cannot just sacrifice anybody. I'm not of that school at all, but I believe that we are going to do it together. We can do it together. What you heard today is doable. I know. Thank you so much.
Dr. Rifai, we think for this summer perhaps it's difficult, but for next time we wish to organize another forums with you in Turkey on place, in Istanbul or in Izmir. Thank you very much.
I'm ready to come to Turkey tonight. I'm ready to tonight.
Me with him.
Yeah.
Emre, if one says that something happened, he will try to go back.
Okay, never mind.
No problem.
No problem. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Rifai.
Okay, bye-bye. See you.
Dr. Rifai.
Thank you. Big pleasure.
Thank you very much. Andrew, what can you tell us last words?
Oh, basically, times will not be easy. And this is something which we are also discussing here in Malta. You know, the situation will not be easy. We've been talking about waves of the virus. There could be also waves of unemployment. Now, the next wave could be the wave of unemployment if we are not careful of how we manage now the economic side, because the world has been great in addressing the issue of lives. But now we also need to address the issue of livelihoods, the issue of work. And it's not easy, as we've been saying, you know, because it requires a lot of difficult situations in an environment which is unknown to all of us. So it takes a lot of dialogue, it takes a lot of debate, it takes a lot of thinking, it takes the great minds, you know, to get together and devise a strategy ahead in order to ensure our safety, but also to safeguard our employments, our work, our economy, because that is also very important for us. My final advice will be that we need to all be strong. We need to keep in mind that we are in this all together, whether Turkish, whether Maltese, whether Australian, whether African, whether American, whether Russian, we are all in it together. We all have the same issue. We have all the same problems. If you watch the news in Russia, if you watch the news in Ghana, if you watch the news in Australia, if you watch the news in Peru, they are all saying the same thing. They're all talking about the same thing. So we need to be strong, look ahead, and try to find the opportunity in the difficulties.
Ses açık değil Emre. Sesin açık değil.
Thank you very much again, Andrew. You consacrate your time, spend your time for this precious
It's a pleasure
meeting. I wish and I hope in the next to organize between Izmir and Valencia a music festival together between cities.
Absolutely.
Between
Absolutely.
Cities. Can be, it's a dream.
This is a promise that comes out from this webinar. Let's do it.
With pleasure. I know there are many Turkish businessmen who comes to Malta. I have the friends there to found their enterprises on place. In tourism also, I received some proposition about Turkey, between Turkey and Malta. I think we have many things to develop, to work again, together.
Looking forward.
Thank you very much. Yes, Isfan, I have a question. I think this is an anonymous questions, I'm sure, from all of the tourism professionals. What are you thinking about your commission. I think perhaps you have some research about that. That perhaps you have just started to focalize to the subject. That means in the transport sector, do you think to use new technologies from the entrance of airport, that means avionics control, that when we pass, to check in, also for checkout in the hotels, but I give the example especially for the airport. For the transportation sector industry, what are you thinking about opportunity of new technologies? Is there any report? Is there any brainstorming or think tank perhaps about that, or we must stay a little bit. We must wait a little bit. What are you thinking about?
Oh, it's not only brainstorming because we just arrived to the new century. So when I'm thinking about the future, for example, about my family's future, I am father of 6, so they will live a totally different Europe and world the next 50, 60 years. So it's not enough in the European Union only to have brainstormings about the new technologies. For example, 3 years ago, I had one dossier which is very, very strong and about 1 year work job in the parliament. So we made a decision, we voted about it. My dossier was about the CITS, the Cooperative Intelligent Transport Systems. And we started to build the stable background of the new technologies in the transportation in the European Union. You mentioned before the data question. It's very important what will happen with our data, who can use them and how. And I'm not thinking about only the states. Sometimes we have a bad feeling about that, what the government, what the state would like to do with our data, but also the companies, the tech companies, or the car manufacturer companies will have all our data. The new technology is here. I don't know how many meetings with the big car companies, the BMW, the Audi, the Mercedes, Volkswagen, Suzuki, and all the others. And they are ready to enter into the new automatized automotive sector. The question is how we, as passengers or drivers, we will be ready to use them. So the technology is ready. The European Union more or less is ready to modernize our rules. The question is how our daily life will follow the new technology situation. I have to tell you, I think the new generations, the Epsilon generation, would like to use it immediately, today, tomorrow. And also in the tourism sector, we have to be ready to change our thinking about the business models because our children, our grandchildren will not use the same style, same structures like we used to do it. So everything will be new, and that's why I think I'm speaking always about smart and sustainable tourism all over the world.
Ses açık değil yine Emre.
Sorry. I'm agree with you. I'm agree with you. Objectively, I see same evolution of sustainable tourism as a big interest come from customers, not only the producers, because the people needs more than the life, a single life, the nature, to be together with nature, to spend the time easily and in the large period, to explore something, to know something. For example, solidarity tourism also can be a new trend in some kind of countries. I understood, Isvan, that if next year we meet with you in same platform or other, I think you will tell us. You will tell me that you see when everything changed, but in the positive direction. I saw you very progressive ideas that you reserve and you share us, and you show us also the light and the direction of European environment in travel industry. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your kindly information. Barbaros, Mr. Dr. Tom, thank you very much. Generation Y looks collier to mass tourism with the development of technology and become to organizer of this tour. The number of traveling abroad increases, but the work of the agencies fed by the operators is decreasing day by day. What are you thinking about the compact? Perhaps you can answer us, because I know we must leave in 5 or 10 minutes the meeting. What are you thinking about, Mr. Kohn, Barbaros Kohn?
About the work of the agencies fed by the operators is decreasing by the
generation.
Yeah. Unemployment will increase after this crisis. I believe that unemployment will increase, and also we have to understand just not Y generation, also Z generation is coming. So we have to understand their behaviors. So we have to work. We have to know how to work with them. If we can't manage to them, we will lose talent, employees from our companies. And also, they got used to work from your homes, from your houses. So we have to get used to work from houses, not from our business. So Y generation like this kind of working style. So we have to adapt to this working style.
Okay. Thank you very much, Barbaros. Finally, I received a message from Hülya Aslantaş, former president of Skal International. I love very much Hülya. Sometimes we discuss us. And you know, when I organized Uzak Rota the name of Skal, Hülya Aslantaş was one of the key speakers. She represents Skal International. Thank you very much to Uzak Rota. Thank you, Gökhan Erdoğan, also. You give us another dimension, and you give us with your speech a hope. I think rational, based to the rational reasons and rational numbers, statistics. Thank you very much for your participation, for your contribution. Thank you.
Thank you.
We will perhaps replay that again next time. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Have a nice day. Thank you.
Thank you, Isvan. Have a nice day. Have a lovely day. Thank you, Andrew. Have a lovely day.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Barbaros.